We live in a world where the sacred is a separate sphere of life, managed from places like the Vatican. But imagine a timeline where the concept of holiness was never separated from the gears of state administration. In this reality, the Roman hardware moves beyond muscle. By 100 BC, the Mediterranean is crossed not by these rows of galley slaves, but by Roman triremes utilizing steam-driven propellers. The Library of Alexandria survives as a militarized fortress. It is the center of the world's industry, protected by elite praetorians of knowledge who treat scrolls and blueprints like state secrets. This technological trajectory was a mathematical possibility. It was diverted by the specific choices of Rome's second king. In 713 BC, the starting conditions were violent and unstable. Romulus had built the physical city through conquest, leaving behind a population of warriors who knew only how to fight. Numa Pompilius inherited this chaos. He understood that a nation of thugs cannot be sustained by force alone. It requires an internal operating system to govern behavior when the king isn't looking. Numa claimed to meet a nymph named Egeria in a sacred grove every night. He returned with laws that he insisted were dictated by the divine, creating a leadership structure based on a fabricated supernatural authority. By convincing the Romans that invisible gods were monitoring their actions, Numa bypassed the need for a guard on every corner. He used the fear of the unseen to enforce a rigid political agenda. Numa functioned as history's first psychological hacker. He realized that if you can weaponize a person's conscience, you can control a crowd without ever drawing a sword. The core of Numa's code was the calendar. He divided the Roman year into two binary states: fasti, the days for business and work, and nefasti, the days where all human labor had to stop for the gods. He locked this system in place by creating the pontiffs. This religious caste held the power to decide which day was which, effectively controlling the rhythm of the entire Roman economy through ritual. This shift moved power from the physical to the psychological. While a sword can only coerce the body, Numa's system directed the citizens' internal sense of duty. Because the citizens believed these rituals were their moral obligation, they began to self-police. The state no longer had to force order, the people demanded it of themselves. This code successfully converted a volatile tribe into a predictable societal machine, operating on a schedule dictated by the temple. But Numa's design had a limit. He used religion to create domestic stability, which meant the Roman software was optimized for keeping things the same rather than making things better. The alternative was a Promethean system. In this version, Numa would have declared that the gods are not honored by animal sacrifices or stopping work, but by the pursuit of engineering and efficiency. If innovation becomes worship, the empire becomes an industrial engine. Every new discovery is a divine revelation, accelerating Roman technology by centuries. By the 2nd century AD, this drive for expansion would have reached across the Atlantic. New Italy would be settled not by explorers, but by an empire that viewed logistical mastery as its sacred mission. In a world where Rome treats Roman concrete and underwater telegraph wires as religious tools, the empire stays connected in real time. Global dominance becomes a matter of superior hardware. Rome would have reached a state of global hegemony while the Greek city-states were still in their infancy. Returning to our actual history, we see the consequence of Numa's real choice. He prioritized ritual over innovation, effectively injecting a virus of conservatism into Western culture. This belief system dictates that to be good is to look backward. It prioritizes the repetition of the past over the friction of the future, valuing the ritual more than the result. This caused the eventual decline of Rome. The empire didn't just run out of soldiers, it ran out of the intellectual flexibility needed to solve new problems, eventually suffocating under its own bureaucratic superstitions. When the foundational software of a culture is programmed for stasis, no amount of physical hardware or military power can prevent the eventual system crash. The lesson of Numa is that a leader can secure the present through pacification, but they destroy the future if they stop their people from hungering for the unknown. Look at our current institutions. Identify the modern pontiffs who are selling us rituals of economic or political safety, while the world around us demands new solutions. We are still operating on ancient software. The question is, who will be the architect to finally write the update?